Welcome to the Audience Converter Podcast, the podcast for converting your audience from strangers to loyal fans. We dive deep and discuss how entrepreneurs, consultants, and coaches can level up their business to help more people in the world. Now here's your host, the creator of the Audience Conversion Method, Kimberly Weitkamp.
Hello and welcome back to another solo episode of the Audience Converter Podcast, where we are talking all about the business side of building your community that supports you, that supports your business, and lets you live the life you want. I'm your host, Kimberly Weitkamp, the conversion copywriter, audience converter, and marketing strategist. And today we are doing another behind the scenes dive into what it looks like to actually be building a business and a community that supports you in the life that you want. If you are an avid podcast listener, first, I want to say thank you very much for tuning in every week, sometimes twice a week, to hear all of our tales from our successful entrepreneurs and other people who are building a community. I continue to believe that community building is the best business model, not only because it creates people who want to stick around and work with you for years to come, but also because it gives you a supportive environment and a place for accountability so that you and others can support each other as you build up your businesses and communities and make a bigger change and impact in the world. But if you are an avid listener of the podcast, or even if you're just turning in for the very first time, you might have noticed that there haven't been too many solo episodes in these last few weeks. And that is because I am just like you. I am building my own business. I am building my community as well. It's why I love interviewing community leaders, hearing what's working for them, what's not working for them, all of those good and wonderful things. And I have actually been ill for the last couple of weeks. I took a small vacation, which was very much needed. But then I also got my second shot of vaccine, and that kind of knocked me out for quite a number of days. So I was not able to record solo episodes. But here's what I want to talk about today, and that is, how do you plan for things like this happening? How do you plan? How do you prepare? How do you make it so that even if you're a one-person show, or if you're mostly a one-person show like me, how do you make it so that you're still able to create that connection point with your people, that you're still able to be present and be around, even if you are not physically behind the computer screen? So one of the things I want to talk about is planning for the unexpected. Now, I've always hated this phrase, quite honestly, because it kind of implies that you're going to know what the unexpected is. But I look at it as planning for what you know will happen at some point. It's just a matter of being prepared. So at some point I knew, well, I want to take a vacation, like a real vacation, 2 weeks, no computer, no internet, no nothing, enjoy a museum or walking down some cobblestone streets. You'll notice I did not say enjoy a week on the beach, because to me that sounds kind of like torture. I am paler than snow. Some people call me Snow White. I match beige walls, or I'm a little bit paler than them. And spending an entire week on the beach is not my idea of fun. However, there are times when all of us kind of want to have the opportunity to take a step back from our business. We created our businesses. We created our communities. We started teaching about what we know and what we're passionate about, because we want to build the life that we want to live. And part of that, for me at least, is building my own schedule. So when you're planning this out, right, when you are taking that initiative, when you are deciding that, okay, I'm going to have a vacation, you know it's going to happen. You may not know when exactly that's going to happen, but you want to have your stuff in place so that when that happens, you are still able to make a connection, let your people know, and make your community aware of what's going on. So, number one, easiest thing for any of us to do is to create a standard vacation responder for our emails. Now, it's super simple, and it's also another opportunity for you to showcase your expertise. Now, remember, you might get people who have heard of you before, who know maybe you're on vacation and they just want to send you a quick message that it's there when you get back. But most likely, you're going to be getting a lot of messages in your inbox from people who don't know you, but they might be reaching out because they're ready to take that next step. So your away message is another opportunity for you to create a great first impression. It is another one of those big missed opportunities in email marketing. just like the confirmation email. And I've talked a little bit about the importance of confirmation emails with your vacation autoresponder. Instead of leaving a really boring message, which I'll admit sometimes I'm a little guilty of it, but instead of leaving that really boring message, tell people what you're doing, tell people what you're up to, tell people why you are not answering their messages. So when I went on vacation, my message read something along the lines of, look, I'm taking some much deserved time off. I am recharging my batteries so that when I come back, I'm able to serve you and all of my clients 110% better than before I left. So excited to reconnect with you after I return. I'll be returning on this date. Send me a message. I will get back to you as soon as possible, but be aware I'm on vacation. Something along those lines, right? It's not super long, it's not detailed, but my personality is in it. I am in it. And I am giving a benefit of me not answering that email, right? I'm taking time away so that I can continue to serve at a great capacity for the people who work with me or for the people I help in the communities that I'm helping to support. Okay. If I go to a conference or if I do a 3-day live event, even if it's virtual in my living room, right? I still don't want that expectation of people that I'm going to answer their emails within a day or two because I am 100% in the room at virtual conferences or at in-person conferences, 100% in the room. My dedication, my concentration, my focus is on the people I'm in the room with, because that's the best way to get the most benefit out of events like that. So I'll leave away messages. I'll leave out of office messages for when I'm at a conference, but then I'll do the same thing, right? I'm at this conference learning about XYZ so that I can bring that knowledge back to the people I serve. I go to an annual copywriting conference. Didn't happen last year, but so excited it's going to happen this year. And every time I go, I learn new things about the art of what I do. I learn new methods. I learn new techniques. I learn what's currently working, what's not currently working. And all of that I can bring back and use to help my clients. So I let people know, hey, I'm not answering your email today because I'm doing something even better so that I can provide the best advice to you when I work with you. So that's one thing. It's super simple for you to do, and it's very powerful. Now, sometimes though, real life happens and we don't expect it, right? I did not expect to get ill. Everyone I knew who had gotten a vaccine shot, they had mild side effects, nothing really big. I, however, slept for like 3 days. But that's okay. I'm happy with that because it shows me that it's working. However, I hadn't planned on not working for that long. So quite a number of things didn't get done, but quite a number of things still went out and were still able to be executed on because I left plans, because I had planned ahead, because I don't like to be in a place where I'm constantly struggling with, okay, what am I putting out next? That's the beauty of having a marketing strategy in place and having a plan in place. And of course, when you're able to, it's the beauty of being able to outsource certain tasks. So for example, the guest interviews for this podcast did go out every week. We had another interview go live. That's because I'm always a couple of weeks, if not a couple of months ahead on audio. And I have a production company. Wonderful people. Shout out to Turnkey Podcasts. If you are looking for somebody to help edit and help you plan a podcast that will also help you monetize and add great things to your business, definitely check out Turnkey Podcast Productions. I will put a link to their page. Let them know that Kimberly Weitkamp sent you. But they help me with getting my podcast out every week. So I give them the audio, they do all the magical stuff, and it gets published. I tell them what day it goes out, it goes out. It's fantastic. So even though I wasn't feeling well, even though I wasn't 100%, even though I wasn't able to be doing everything that I needed to be doing because I was ill, it still happened. It still went out. I was still able to make that connection with my audience every week, giving them great and wonderful and amazing resources that were powerful for them, that were useful for them. One of the interviews that went live recently as well is a friend of mine. I'm supporting her. She's got a workshop coming up in just a couple of days about how to delegate, something that she's certainly helped me with. That's the episode with Anya Riemer-Gruber. Be sure to go check that one out as well. And, I wanted to make sure that her episode went live and then it got published because she talks about signing up for the workshop. So it needed to go out at a specific time. It needed to go out before a specific date so that people could have the opportunity to sign up for her workshop. Again, I wasn't feeling 100%. I had a lot of overflow. I had a couple of unexpected deadlines, but it was still able to go out. Why? Because I have delegated and kind of put procedures in place to make sure the really important things like this podcast go out on a regular basis, right? Go back to email marketing. My emails are usually planned at least a week, if not more, in advance. My social media, same type of thing. I know what I'm talking about. I know what content I'm sharing. I know what I'm promoting. All of those things do still happen, even if I'm not the one pushing the publish button every single time. So, another thing I want you to kind of plan for is what is that unexpected going to look like? Now, I was out for a couple of days and a couple of weeks around that weren't 100%, but, essentially out of the office for 3 or 4 days that I wasn't planning on. So, what would you expect your unexpected to look like? Now, I know it's a strange question, but I really want you to contemplate this. I want you to sit down and kind of figure out a plan. What happens if you randomly get sick? What happens if you randomly have to take care of a family member? Right? What happens if randomly your pipes spring a leak and you have to deal with that and get the contractors in and make a bunch of phone calls and you really can't, do the business side of things for a day or two? What happens with that? So I would say, if nothing else, plan for the small absences first, right? I'm not talking about long. I'm not talking if, you're suddenly going to have to be away from the business for 3 months. That's a much longer term goal. But I want you to think about that. What happens if you suddenly have to take a day off? And I also want you to think about this in terms of building the life that you want. Many of us get into the entrepreneurial world because we love the idea of not having a boss, right? I get to pick my schedule. I get to choose what my schedule looks like. It's all wonderful and great. But the reality is most of us have other obligations. We have family, we have spouses, we have children. We have friends who all have 9 to 5 jobs. So we're kind of like, well, I might as well have a 9 to 5 job because then I can spend the time I want with them. So most of us kind of fall into still having a 40-hour work week or the traditional 9 to 5 timeline, right? We don't work weekends, we don't work evenings, or if we do work those times, we're kind of resentful because that's when like our kids are home and that's what we want to be working with, whatever that looks like. So one of the things I love being an entrepreneur and building this wonderful community I'm building is that I don't have to work on the days everyone else says that they have to work, right? I can take a random Wednesday off. So when you think about, well, what happens if you have to unexpectedly take a day off? I also want you to think about this in terms of what can you put in place so that you can randomly decide, look, you know what? I'm looking at my schedule next Thursday. I don't have any, client calls scheduled yet. So I'm going to go ahead and block that day off. And I'm going to declare that next Thursday, I'm just going to take a random day off. How can you make sure that that's a reality for you? How can you make sure that that is something you're able to do if you so choose? I'm not saying you have to. That's the beauty of running your own business and creating your own schedule. You get to decide what success looks like for you. If you love what you do, and you want to have a hand in doing something with it, at least an hour every single day of the week, Monday through Sunday, you can choose to do that. Okay. If you love the idea, I love what I do, but I also love taking self care days. It's so powerful to me. I always come back refreshed. I want to have a random day off at least 2 or 3 times a month. You can do that as well. But it takes a little bit of planning. So, a few things for you to consider and to put into your checklist, right? Are what are the absolute must do's that need to happen every day or every week? And that's such like scheduling things, right? With your social media, for example, it's so powerful for you to be present yourself, right? There's only so much you can schedule. A bunch of the power of social media comes from your personal interaction. But could you take a day off? Could you schedule enough so that one day away isn't going to make a huge difference? Or could you make it so that that's the only thing you do? Maybe you only spend 20 minutes that day doing the stuff for your social media plans, and the rest of the day is yours to do with as you choose. So, part of the strategy with this is having a plan and deciding what are those things that need to happen every day. So, for example, I want to be in communication with my email list at least once a week, preferably more. So, what do I have? I have a set of emails that go out to everyone who has gone through a welcome series. It's called a drip campaign. And currently, there are about 40 emails in it. So, it's 40 weeks of content. Every week, no matter what, that email goes out. And I don't have to think about it because it goes out automatically. It's on autopilot. I don't even know where people are in that process because every time somebody joins my list, they go through their own personal journey. So they join the list by a particular gift. They get on another sequence related to that gift. Then they get put into the welcome series so they know a little bit more about me and what I do and how I can help them. And then they get put into the drip campaign so that I know no matter what, they will get an email from me at least once a week. That's powerful, that's valuable, and that guides them to resources they might find useful. Now, I also love being able to give people gifts or powerful resources or point them to really powerful events I think would help them with their business. So I also send out a weekly email on Fridays. So part of the processes I'm putting into place currently is figuring out how to format that so it's a little bit more on autopilot so that it only requires a little bit of my touch, but it still has all the powerful information. Somebody else gets to insert the link, right? Somebody else gets to make sure the bolds are where they're supposed to be, and I just write out the descriptions. And somebody else schedules the email as well. But it still is written by me, right? It's just all the minutia. It's all the admin side that can be outsourced to other people. So, what I want you to think about for this particular week is what will happen for you if you have to take a day, 3 days, a week away from your business. How would your business continue to run? What are the things that you still need to process for so that it can continue to run? And what's really important is also to decide what are the things that can be put on hold. I love this podcast going out. I absolutely adore it. But you know what? When I sit down to record these podcast episodes, these solo behind the scenes or in-depth dives to, the customer journey, which we'll get back to next week, I want it to be relevant to when you're listening to it for the first time. So I do not work very far ahead on these because I want them to be really powerful and really relevant to where you are right now. What's going on right now? I often take this time to answer questions that I've been receiving from clients and from potential clients and from people who are looking for more information about building their own community. So these do not get recorded super far in advance. So guess what? When I fell ill and wasn't feeling well for quite a number of weeks, guess what? These solo episodes did not get put out because I needed to record them. That was not something I could outsource. I can outsource the production. I can outsource the scheduling, but I cannot outsource me actually sitting down to record. So I had to be available to sit upright and speak for a good 20 minutes or so. So this is one of those things I decided, well, we're going to take a pause on this. And that's also why I wanted to come back and let you know what's going on behind the scenes. I am just like you. I'm running a business. Things happen in my life, ups and downs and tops and turns and curves and roller coaster drops all happen in my life. They happen in my business. And I'm also building a community, right, as we go along. And that's why I love so much being able to interview other people who have built that community, who are in the process of building a community, just to show and share what does and doesn't work for so many different people, because all of us get to choose our own journey, our own path. We decide what success looks like for us. So, this episode is titled Podcast Interruptus because there was a pause, there was an interruption in our regularly scheduled podcast, but that's okay. And I think it's so powerful for us to hear from other business owners that things are not always going to go 100% the way we want them to, that unexpected things happen, and that's okay. And this is how we deal with them. When I first got started, basically the only thing I ever saw about online marketing is that, oh, you put the right funnel in place, you go to sleep, and in the morning you're going to wake up to $1 million. Now, I never believed that because it sounds ridiculous, and it is ridiculous because there's so many more steps that need to go in place before that can happen. And so many of the people who were selling that kind of approach weren't actually using it for themselves. They were selling the idea of that's how it works, but they didn't actually have the proof that that's how it works. They just promised to show everybody that that's how it works. So I wish I had seen somebody who was like, you know what? You're not a failure if you have to take an unexpected day off. You're not a failure if you don't make $6 million in your first funnel. So that's kind of what I'm looking to do with these behind the scenes, is to let you know what's going on in my world, in my community, in my business, and also for you to have some valuable lessons and insights to take away at the end of the day. So one of the things I mentioned, right, is how a lot of people get into my world. They come in from a gift, they get a particular sequence, then they get moved into a welcome series. And that is one of the things that I am teaching in a workshop style 3-day live virtual event in June. I am so incredibly excited. It's going to be starting June 29th. And, it really relates to making sure that you can still have your business run without you. Because if you have to do all of your personal recruiting, if you have to do every single touch point, if you personally have to make that first connection with every person who comes into your world, there's only so much you can do. So when you're able to outsource that, when you're able to show up in a giveaway or in a summit, you do the one thing that's 20 minutes or an hour of your time, but then you can reach so many other people and it's like they have that personal touch point. That is such a powerful way to get more people into your world. But it's also a great method for you to really make a connection and make sure you're bringing in the right people. And I want to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how you can, make sure that every time somebody enters your world, that you're investing in having them as a subscriber on your list, that they're the right person for you, that they are the right person at the right time in the right stage of awareness, right? Which is what we're also covering right now. So if you want to learn more about how you can get all of that copy written and figure out exactly what that looks like for you, making sure you're getting the right clients, the right audience into your world, be sure to check out theaudienceconverter.com/live. Again, that's theaudienceconverter.com/live. And of course, the link will be in the show notes as well. And, thank you so much for listening today. And I hope really that you do take the time. I want you to remember, if nothing else, that you get to choose your own schedule and you get to choose your own success and your own results. So if you're waiting for the day when you can take a random day off, it's never going to happen unless you plan for it to happen. And part of planning for that to happen is deciding your strategy, your scheduling, and how far in advance you can start to work so that when you want to take a random Thursday off, it's possible. So go ahead, take an hour, take 30 minutes even, and plan out, well, what are the things I need to have going live without me, or that can be automated, or that can be handed off, so that if I want to take a random day off, that's possible, whether I'm ill or whether I just want a vacation day. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the AudienceConverter.com, the Audience Converter podcast for community leaders, hosted by the AudienceConverter.com. And remember, keep calm and plan for your success.
Thanks for listening to the Audience Converter podcast. For more information and important links about today's show or for access to our website, visit theaudienceconverter.com. Take a moment to rate and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.